Greetings, fellow knights. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Norland Episode 2, Rescue the Queen. So here's Kellyan posting up the current day's construction projects. Old man yells at cloud, I think is what you called it. And then the three builders that I have are going to start building. So these are my three builders over here. And every character also has, not just your royal family, they have their own mood, their own combat skills, their own individual desires. So you can terrorize them, you can benefit them, they can be homeless and sad. So right now, I have an expected migrants of 7. And what I plan on doing is, I plan on using those migrants to draft them or conscript them as a fighting force to go save Urgle-Burgle. So here are my builders bringing wood from the stockpiles over to the lumber mill to construct the lumber mill. And then, oops, okay. Let me do that again. So clicking on the lumber mill, I have a manager, which I'm going to have as Kellyan for now. I would say that, the right amount of things for your manager to manage would be probably around like 8 at maximum. I need more, and they might not get to things in time, depending on their happiness and the willingness to work and the other things that you have them do. Oh, the ruler of Moonlight just died. And we just paid, as a vassal to our king, we just paid 21 gold, because currently we are a vassal of Dust Valley. The intro text of the game said that we are under the protection of our lord, which is, I guess his name is Bevan. But that will change. I think it's pre-scripted that he dies pretty early on. There's also other things that I failed to mention. So our current kingdom type is Defender of Order. So that is a result of Kellyan's personality of being a Defender of Order. So he appreciates those who destroy bandit camps. He has the personality traits of calm and beautiful, and he will gain the personality trait of diplomat if his persuasion skill levels up from 10 to 15. It's a trait to be unlocked. Dave is strong will, attractive, and currently, because I don't have a child, the heir. And his unlocked one is forecaster, which is being able to forecast, or get notifications about the Holy Caravan visits. The Holy Caravan is sort of the trade caravans that come to your kingdom periodically. Often, but periodically. The other things that I failed to show is, so this is their mood. Right now he's at a 63. And then this is also important. It's loyalty. Loyalty indicates how much of the Lord is loyal to the king. It usually changes slightly positive every day, but if the character is unhappy, it might drop. High loyalty provides a positive thought. Low loyalty, like below 25, can lead the character to move to another noble house or kingdom to raise a rebellion. So that's another thing to keep an eye on, is the loyalty that people have towards you. So like Kellyan, for instance, is like 100% loyal to himself, because, why wouldn't he be? And then the last one is knowledge, how much knowledge they've acquired. So I haven't actually read any books, so I have no knowledge for anyone yet. So here's Kellyan heading over to the lumber mill to post the tasks for the day. And the other thing I want to do in the lumber mill is to upgrade it to have one more workplace. Because really early on, wood is sort of a premium. So I would like to make it employ 2 people instead of just 1. Because your leaders or managers have to manage buildings, it's better to have one big building than many small buildings, because it's a lot harder for a manager to manage many small buildings. So if possible, like for mills and lumber mills and workshops and the like, improve their size, don't make many of them. Now, there is an unlock that you get later on called the Chancellery, which allows you to have clerks. But this is a book only sold to you once you hit 40 residents in your city. And Chancellery allows you to to hire peasants as clerks and for the clerks to do the management, which is absolutely necessary once you have a large enough kingdom, because it's unrealistic that your king or any royal member goes to each and every building that you have. If you have like dozens of buildings, it becomes very labor intensive. So here is our rutabaga field. People do not particularly enjoy eating rutabagas, might I add, or drinking the moonshine made from rutabagas. But regardless, I'm going to build a brewery here anyway, in order to at least have the option of drinking moonshine. So if you don't end up drinking alcohol, and this is sort of like Dwarf Fortress, if you don't end up drinking alcohol, people become like tired and fatigued. Where in Dwarf Fortress, they actually just literally die if they don't drink enough booze. In this game, they just get really, really, really unhappy and might rebel. So bread and circus all the way. So even though they don't like the taste of moonshine, and you should move away from moonshine made from rutabagas as soon as you can, it's still going to help keep the peace, I would say. And I don't really think I like the UI scale up to 150. But at the moment, I don't have enough workers to work in that rutabaga field, because every single person is currently unemployed. So I need more migrants to be able to fulfill those roles. And the builders just finished building the level 2 lumber mill. So the other thing I'm going to build next is housing. I'm going to build another dormitory for more workers. Now, of the houses that you have available to you, you have the peasant's house, which is for peasants that are nicer than the dormitory. But the peasant's house houses 2 people for 15 wood, and the dormitory houses 10 people for 30 wood. So the dormitories early on are definitely the houses to build. Then you have the lord's houses, which is 30 wood for 1 lord. And then the slave barn, which is 25 wood for, I forget, 20 slaves? Yeah. A slave barn is... We can decide as a group in the stream whether or not we'll keep slaves. There are some personalities that other kingdoms might have. Like, oh, here's it. Perfect. First try. Moonlake, for instance, their king, is a liberator. So he dislikes kings that have more than 50% of their population as slaves. So you can have personality traits to affect that, but Kellyan doesn't. So we can decide whether we want to use, slave barns or not. And here's the brewery. And this will unlock the production tab, so I'll show you that in a second, but I'm going to have Kellyan manage it. So the production tab is like how much to make. So we can just say, make moonshine until you got, 45, let's say. So 10 rutabagas makes 45 moonshine. And currently we have 25 of the 45. But I don't have any brewers even working in there at the moment. All right, so the next building I want to do is a service one. So in service, we've got the hall. You only have 1 hall, so unless raiders burn it down, you're probably not going to be building another one. You've also got the tavern, which sells alcohol. So I'm going to put the tavern right next to my market, because they serve a similar purpose. You also have a den. A den sells nectar, which is like... nectar is kind of like go juice in RimWorld. It makes a person work faster, but it's highly addictive. And as such, nectar is one of those things that your royals probably shouldn't drink because they will be addicted to it. Whereas like your individual peasants, if they get addicted to it, it's like, oh, well, whatever, they're peasants. So I don't usually build the den early on because you don't produce nectar early on either. And then you also have a warehouse. So warehouse, I'll just read it. Peasants take resources from the warehouse in the morning for production and then bring finished goods back there in the evening. Although through any warehouse, characters have access to all resources except gold, which is stored in the castle hall. This allows for reducing the time characters spend on resource transportation throughout the workday. You can also hire builders in a workhouse, but you don't need builders in a workhouse. So if your 3 builders that are employed by the hall are building everything you need built, don't bother hiring builders in the warehouse. It's just going to drive up your cost. So like a warehouse would be handy to like put next to the lumber mill, for instance, to cut down travel time, if travel time becomes a significant factor. Then there's also an altar. So the people in this game are all like death cultists, as far as I'm concerned, which is why the altar looks like if a Jura star like started becoming a death cult or something. But they want to be able to pray to fulfill their piety. Eventually you get the ability to unlock a temple, but at least for now we have to build an altar. And then a library. You're only going to need one library. The library houses the books that you buy and allows you to study to learn how to build new things or get upgrades. So we'll build a library as well. Yeah, very much skulls for the Skull Throne. Exactly. So we'll have the builders build those remaining things. I promise Ergelberger we're coming. So now being warned, I don't have sufficient workers. Now I don't have enough workers to put people in the rutabaga field or the brewery. But 7 more migrants just arrived. So what I'm going to do before those migrants settle into work is I'm going to draft them to go rescue Ergelberger. But actually before that, I'm going to trade with the trader. So the trader just arrived as well. So over here we have the migrants, which are in green. And then we have the trader, who's the fat dude in the Witcher 3 mask, with a bunch of slaves. So all the people in gray are slaves that the trader has to sell. And I'd like the chance to buy some books off the trader for some initial technology unlocks. So here's a list of all of the technologies that you can unlock. And there's some really useful early ones, like Temple, or Scaffold, or Coal Furnace. So those are the ones that I'm really after really early on. I don't explain what each and every one does as well. Oh, Kellyan, you're like... Oh, you're drunk. That's what's going on. I was like, man, he's really happy. Yeah, because he's eating pork and drinking flavorful ale. I hear you, dude. So in order to trade, you just click on the trader, go trade, and I'm going to pick Kellyan, who has a ridiculously high trade skill, which is going to allow me to fleece this dude pretty badly. So I have 50% favor in the cost due to my good trade skill. Awesome. All right, so here we go. Here's what they have for sale. Economical construction. So buildings require less wood when building and upgrading. That one's nice. We've got iron. Same deal, but for iron. Lord's House upgrades. I have not noticed that the Lord's House upgrades work. It might deter criminals, but it does not make them happier. So, poo-poo to that. Faster construction. Flavorful ale. Temple, Herbalist, and Scaffold. Before I buy the Herbalist, I gotta check something. So another thing that I failed to mention so far is that you have 2 small villages which are loyal to you, which is Vroloful and Zagon. And they will offer tribute periodically, and the tribute that they offer is different in every game. And it looks like Zagon will offer iron from their mines, and Zroful will offer herbs from their herbalists, which means that I will have income of herbs from Roful, unless it gets burned down, which means I don't really need the herbalist book urgently, because I will have an income of herbs provided that village stays intact. So that's what I wanted to check, and lo and behold, yes, I don't really need the herbalist book. With that said, it's only 93 gold, so I might just buy it anyway. So, because I am thirsty for knowledge, I'm going to buy all their books. I'm not going to buy any slaves, because we haven't really decided whether I'm going to use slaves. I'm going to have you guys decide on that in a minute, but not in this first pass. Then other things to buy. I'm going to buy a heavy suit of armor. Oh, right now the trade screen's full. So, let's go ahead and buy that stuff, and then buy a heavy suit of armor. That's for Urgle Burgle once we rescue her, because she's going to want some. Then I'm also going to buy some of their paper as well, because paper is a very handy resource to have. Trade is done. I'm happy with that. Okay. Should we have slaves in our kingdom? Yes, but only a few. Yes, but less than half. Yes or no? You guys pick. You want me to be a slaver? It's not going to be my fault if I do. So then the other thing I wanted to do before people start settling into their work is to go rescue Urgle Burgle. So what I'm doing right now is I'm limiting the amount of workers that are working the new roles that I just opened up. Essentially, I just fired all 7 of the peasants from the jobs that they found so that I can draft them. So I'm going to go to Army here and click Warrior tab. And then I'm going to draw all 7 of the peasants that just migrated as warriors. Then I'm going to select Dave as my commander and draft all of those peasants into the squad. Give them some weapons. I'm going to be mean and not even allow them to use the armor. And this time I'm going to have Kellyan. No, I'll let them use armor. I'm going to have Kellyan join, just to improve their odds, because it's, you know, the first fight. So now those new workers that just got migrated into us are going to receive their orders to muster, and Kellyan and Dave are ready to go get Urgle Burgle. So the current priority is save Urgle Burgle. That's right. You can see the warriors are collecting their weapons. And I believe that's... Nope, there's one left. Asti, hurry up. Alright, they're armed and ready. Go to the World tab. Click on the bandit camp. And attack with Dave. So the other options here is bribe. And it's really not that much gold, but it's always fun to, like, murder people. Well, actually, no. They're demanding 1,500 gold for Urgle Burgle. So, yeah, that's a no. Instead, I'll give you... Instead of gold, I'll give you steel. Cold steel. So, there we go. Me and my merry band of well, one of them put on armor, but my merry band of newly migrated misfits are now headed out to go murder some bandits. Wow, the yeses and the nos tied. All right, let's just go a simple yes, no. Slaves, yes, no. So the advantage of slaves is that you don't pay them daily wages, typically. So if we take a look at finance here, there is no pay for slaves. There is provisions for slaves, what they're allowed to have, but there isn't, like, pay. So, you know, we can allow slaves. Slaves are kind of maybe easier to deal with, provided that you keep them happy. If you don't keep them happy, then they're problematic because they will rebel. So it cuts both ways. And this is the Holy Caravan. So if you want more Holy Rings in order to reward them for people that want Holy Rings, you buy them from this dude. And they only show up like once every few days, and they take off pretty quickly every night. So there they go. Bye-bye. Economic report. So this economic report is going to look pretty damning. I'll put it up here so you can actually read it. I spent a ton of gold on books. Yeah, I know. Whatever. But then it also says what wages I paid, what resources I produced, what goods were sold in local markets, and the resources invested into the economy, and then also any errors. So, for instance, the Rutabaga and the brewery doesn't have workers, but I knew that because I fired all of them so I could draft them to go save Urgle Burgle. If we take a look at the world map here, there is a lot of other things happening. So Great Mist, for instance, doesn't like us, and that might devolve into some sort of war. Same with Wind Peak. So I gotta keep an eye on that. Windpeak respects kings whose intelligence skill surpasses his own. What is your skill? 7? And you're mentally impaired? Yeah, that's really easy to meet. Kellyan's a 14, so... yeah, I mean, if I wanted to improve that relationship, it would be easy to do. Great Mist is a defender of order. So destroying this bandit camp actually should make Great Mist happy. This bandit camp isn't in their territory, so it might not matter, I'm not sure. But if there was a bandit camp in Great Mist territory and I cleared it for them, that would definitely please them. Treewood here. So these little, like, indicators are trade opportunities. Or sometimes they're like marriage opportunities or peace treaties or whatever. So Treewood urgently wants to buy pork at much higher than market prices. Moonlake wants to sell tools at lower than market prices. A lot lower than market prices. Dust Valley wants to sell beer at about half market price. So there's advantages to be taken. In order to take advantage of this, like let's say I wanted the tools, I could do actions, trade, buy tools, and then because I don't have anyone, Kellyan and Dave, neither of whom are in the kingdom, I can send a messenger. Now the advantage of selling a messenger is it doesn't tie up one of your lords. It does, however, use paper, but I just bought 5 paper for this express purpose. So I'm going to go buy those tools, because I know I'm going to want tools pretty early on. And then I'm going to sell the pork as well. Now, do some trade. And I specifically picked 2 that I already have pretty good relationships with. Moonlake just had their king die. So right now they're run by a queen. And she's a beautiful liberator. And it looks like you guys want me to be slavers. I'm going to give you 1 more minute to vote on that. But, and then Treewood is run by a greedy cynic who's unattractive. Oh, well. Aren't you, a gem to be around, I guess. So soon, it is expected that 6 migrants will arrive. If I addressed their frequent negative thoughts, which is mild fatigue, maybe that number would go up. Fatigue is caused by a lack of alcohol, not a lack of sleep. Well, also homelessness, but I'm currently building a dormitory, so I'm going to be fixing that soon. We have almost arrived at the Camp of Forest Bandits. So I'm not going to auto-resolve. I'm going to fight this myself. Here they are. The kidnappers of Urgle about to be schooled hard. Now, it is possible, I want to preface, that you lose this fight and you lose the game. It has happened to me before. Usually a 9 versus 3 is kind of a no-brainer, and you win fairly easily. But it's entirely possible due to RNG that you get your butt kicked here. But no, not this time. So one of the bandits is like unconscious here and will likely be enslaved unless they're dead. Another's running away. That doesn't necessarily mean he's made it out. And then the last bandit here just gave up, got knocked out. So we have won, and we didn't even lose anyone, which is great. Because sometimes that's a cost. So we have taken 2 of them as slaves and looted 153 gold from them. And then I gained a relation with neighbors as a result. And Urgle has been freed and soon will return to the city, but not without anxiety. So always wakes up during a home invasion because she was held captive. So she has, unlike like RimWorld, you get personality traits depending on what happens to you in this game. Sort of like going medieval or something. I don't know. There's a bunch of games that do that. My 2 cents about that mechanic is sometimes it's really, really annoying, and I don't like it. Also, what the hell? 2 people from my town just like up and left in the middle of the night. That's rude. I had 7 people here, didn't I? Yeah, they just like walked out. Who walked out? A servant and a builder? Or 2 builders? But Urgelburl's personality, she's monogamous, mentally impaired, and queen, and can become a forecaster if her trade goes up high enough. Here's her status effects. Oh god. Urgelburl. So she lost an eye as captive, and it's a lifelong injury. She has an infected wound that is gangrenous. She can't move. She's in pain shock, and she's been burned. Dave, they didn't not harm her. They tortured her and cut out her eye. What do you mean, Dave? Damn it, Dave. You couldn't be any more wrong. Man, Urgelburl, that's a rough start to life. Yeah, and then I was just warned that she gained the anxious trait, which I don't blame her. She was just subjected to, like, capital punishment, corporal punishment. What do they do to her? Everything, man. Everything. Oof. Just oof. So here are my little messengers going up to sell pork and buy tools. Oh, that's what happened. My population didn't drop. I sent 2 messengers. I'm just dumb and don't know math. Yeah. Good job, me. So I'm being warned that I have insufficient workers, but that's fine. Resulting trade offer. You have successfully delivered 55 gold. In return, I received 5 tools. And then my relations with Trissa have improved. So Moon Lake and their leader, specifically, has appreciated the trade. Now you're happy you didn't win the raffle? Yeah, no kidding. They want to buy paper. I actually could send Kellyan out to that, but I probably won't. So they're finally home. I think Urgelburl's probably being carried. Yep, being carried. And then there are Nile and... there's another slave in here. There's 2 slaves that we ended up liberating from that fight. So one of the things about these slaves is they have high combat skills. So instead of releasing them to become regular old peasants, it's probably best that you use them in your military, because they were bandits, they know how to fight. So that's likely what I'm going to do. Oh, Urgelburl. Yeah, look at your beautiful face. It looks like Urgelburl gurgles blood. Yep. So daily statistics. It's warning me that fear of death is a negative thought. So the fear of death, negative thought, is a result of me conscripting peasants to fight for me, and those peasants not being well trained and being fearful. So I'm actually firing all the peasants and allowing them, or firing all of them as warriors and allowing them to become peasants once again, filling up the jobs that I have open. I just needed to rescue Urgelburl. Oh, hey, we made moonshine. That was quick. I think because Kellyan has really high management skills, there's a huge yield boost for it. So I have currently one unemployed peasant. But yeah, kingdom's being managed. So the current priority right now is build up infrastructure. You know, we just started. I'm going to want a tavern and the altar and the library and all that stuff. So Urgelburl. Joy of Foolishness. Wow. Bam, pam, ram, pam, pam, bam, bam. That's what she has on her mind. Guess she doesn't care that she's a one-eyed and brutalized. She's got bam, pam, wham, bam on her mind. She also is wearing the heavy armor. She might gonna want holy rings at some point. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to her and reward her with 5 holy rings from Kellyan. Starrock, thank you for the sub, and Stygius for the resub. And everything else that happened in the in the feed, because it was a lot. All right, and here's the trade request. Delivered pork to Treewood, and their king is happier now as a result. Also, the world summary. Moonlake has a new trade request. So you should read these periodically, like every day whenever they come out, because they will tell you about changes and opportunities that you might want to be aware of. And take a look at the moodlets. Dave is sleepy. Urgelburgle is in pain from injuries, but otherwise I'm doing a pretty good job of managing their moods. So, go me, I guess. So here is the tavern. The tavern employs 1 person and sells good, depending on the daily expenses. No, it looks good. So I don't think Kellyan has rewarded Urgle. Oh, because Kellyan's asleep. So Urgelburgle will be awarded once Kellyan's awake. Also, new traders coming in, and I'm going to want to do some trading and buy some more books and stuff. Do I still have 5 warriors? I have, no. I have fired them all. And turned them into peasants. Like you do. Now, there's some other buildings I want to build. So I'm going to build a barracks. I'm going to stick it over yonder. It does require iron from the mines, so it's a relatively expensive structure. And I'm going to do a training grounds next to it as well. Maybe not there. I'll try to have it be actually next to it. Really? I clicked the same spot twice? I wish there was a way to see the grid system. All right, there we go. And that's so that I can liberate the 2 slaves that I captured and turn them into warriors for me. Ocharat, thank you for the sub. I'll drink to that. Urgelburgle accepted the gift from Rala. Loyalty decreased. Rala? So here is the loyalty. Rala just bribed Urgelburgle. And, you know what? I don't know where you got those holy rings, but you're not going to get any of them from Kellyan. Miss accepts a bribe. So Urgelburgle has been bribed, and her loyalty is under threat. It says his, but it's just because the tooltip needs to be... Dave, did you get a little too drunk, Dave? Well, looking at the bright side, you're staring at the sun. There you go, buddy. Yeah, I think he got... He's full of energy. Yeah, he passed out from beer and pork. I get it. So the next big thing to do is to get the library up and running so that I can start to teach Kellyan and Dave and possibly Urgelburgle how to manage new structures. So this trader has no new books. Unfortunate. Does have some paper that I could buy. I always like to buy paper until I can manufacture it myself. And I'm going to sell some of the weapons because I don't think I'm going to need as many as I currently have. The traders don't have a lot of gold overhead. So you should plan, if you have stuff to sell, you should plan on selling your stuff in like small increments because they're not going to be able to buy like a whole bunch of bulk from you. So for instance, you know, if you are producing tons and tons of wheat, or flour rather, make sure to sell your flour every time there's an opportunity, because you're not going to be able to sell like 500 of it at once. Economic report. We've gained 216 gold, but most of that was from pillaging the bandit camp, I think. And the trade that I just ran. Kelly and Ergelberg are spending some time in bed. Yep, they sure are. Let's not look at that. And she's pregnant. Oh, also, you turn green like the princess from Shrek when you become pregnant. I guess that was just the developer's idea of what pregnancy should look like. I don't know. And yeah, I'm sorry that you can't unsee that. What a terrible day to have eyes, right? Oh, now Kellyan's actually thinking about her too, I think. Yes. Well, sort of. What's interesting about this game, compared to a lot of games like it, is a lot of stuff happens in one day. I'm still on day 1, as you may have noticed. I showed up, I built a rutabaga farm, a brewery, a lumber mill, an extra dorm, a tavern, an altar, and then conscripted a bunch of peasants to go rampage bandits that were in my territory, and ran multiple trade opportunities with neighbors in a day. In fact, I'm going to keep trading too. I'm sending a person out to sell the paper that I just bought from the caravan, because I get increased cost. Here are the slaves, by the way. They just sleep wherever the hell, because I don't have a slave barn. But once I have a barracks built, I will conscript them to fight for me. So the reason I mentioned about the passage of time... Oh boy, Ergelberg. Ergelberg is a worshipper of Nurgle. But the reason I mentioned that is, like, yes, Ergelberg just got pregnant on day 1. She's going to give birth by, like, day 5 or something. Time goes a little fast for these little people. So, Ergelberg, you have pretty good intellect and pretty good teaching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Dave learn intellect from Ergelberg. So Ergelberg will spend some time... And I want to do that again because it's a little confusing. It's a little counterintuitive and difficult to understand at first. So the way... If I wanted to teach Dave something, right? Let's do this again. Dave currently has an intellect of 8. So if I want to teach Dave, I go to action, teach, and then intellect, which is philosophy, and then pick the teacher. So it kind of looks, if you're unfamiliar, like Dave is going to teach Ergelberg, but that's not the case. You select the person who wants to learn and then select the teacher, not the inverse. That was definitely a bit of a head scratcher for me at first. I was like, wait, who's teaching what? And then I would stare at it and see who get experience. So Ergelberg is now going to spend some of her time teaching Dave to be smart, like a one-eyed Nurgle worshipper. Oh, yeah. Sorry to pick on you, buddy. Let's also get a lord's house here, too. Because I'm going to start to get guests and stuff. You're very smart, SMRT, exactly. Where am I built? Oh, they're just waking up. See, I told you it's a death cult. Nice. We're getting the library built. Dave complimented Ergelberg, and Ergelberg comforted Dave. Hey, there better not be any hanky-panky going on there. I'm watching you, Dave. Oh, that also reminds me. I should be trying to find a wife for Dave. There's no one currently available, but, like, there will be. So here's the library, and in this library... I want Kellyan to learn how to do hops and beer. Or actually, no. Kellyan, you learn how to do a temple. Burgle, hops and beer. And Dave, scaffolding. Or mining, rather. So they'll spend some of their time doing that. That does not, however, cancel the lessons that Urgle teaches Dave. It just adds on to them. So we just paid our Lord 51 gold. And they still have a fear of death. So that fear of death, the negative modifier for migrants, is a result of me drafting the peasants in order to free Urgle. There's kind of not a good way around that unless you're going to pay the 1,500 gold ransom or to hire mercenaries. The problem with hiring mercenaries, so let me show you where that is. If you go to the Warriors tab, so if you go to Army, Warriors, you can free slaves to become warriors. You can recruit peasants to become warriors. You can hire mercenaries. But if you hire mercenaries, there's a time it takes for them to arrive to your kingdom. So there's a lag time of like a few days. So I wanted to get Urgle back quick and not wait the few days for mercenaries to show up. What's all the green stuff? Well, some of this green stuff is just for them drinking ale in the hall. And trade request fulfilled. I gained 200 gold in return and made Tirsa happy. Another reason to do these trade opportunities pretty early on, if you're wondering, is if I'm trying to find a wife for Dave, it's going to really help if I butter up my neighbors. Because buttering up my neighbors means that I have a better relationship with them and then I don't have to like bribe them or pay a high dowry. So it works in my favor. So here's some other world events going on right now. There's a world summary behind my head that I can't see because I placed myself poorly. But there's this bandit camp here, which has 5 slaves for sale. Or I could raid it, but it's pretty far away from Jotunheim, so I'm not going to bother. Treewood wants to sell paper. And you know what? I want your paper, so I'm going to buy it with a messenger. So I'm using paper to buy paper. Yep. Scranton would be happy. Thank you for tuning in to Norland, which originally streamed live on Twitch July 11th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my gaming community, a link to Discord can be found in the description of this video and on my website. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. Hope to catch you on next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell.